Greetings, fellow watch comrades, and welcome to the individual segment on the Vostok-Europe Red Square mid-size Russian watch. That is 2432-614-5062B. I'm Craig Hester, the watch comrade, and welcome to this special separate section on the Red Square with a bracelet. This is referred to as the mid-size because it's a watch that could be worn both by men and women. I actually tend to see this more as a ladies' watch, but I've had some guys who are not that excited about the fact that watches just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and they don't necessarily have a big wrist, or they're just not into the big watches, and this Red Square has been perfect for them. It's unfair to categorize this either as a ladies' watch or a men's watch. It can work either way. I will tell you that we have a lot of ladies who have bought this and really enjoyed them. You see Sarah wearing it there. I think she wanted to walk right off the set with it on her wrist. Because it really does work as a ladies' watch. It's beautiful. So if you haven't gotten anything for the mother in your life, your mother or your wife who's a mother or whoever happens to be in your life, and you are going to get your wrist slapped on Mother's Day, if you don't, well, you still could pick this up, or at least maybe show them this video and tell them, hey, that's what I'm getting you for Mother's Day. It is 316L, our surgical grade stainless steel. This one is 5 ATM water resistant. The size on this one is again a little bit smaller than the standard red square, and of course meaning the red square there you see it in the middle, the red square, and squares on the dial. This one is 32 millimeters across, and 41.5 millimeters tall, top to bottom. So it's not tiny, but it is certainly not as big as the other red square. The back is engraved, like all of the Red Squares are, with the Savior Tower, which is the entrance to the Kremlin, and I'm sure we're going to be flipping this over and showing you that at some time soon. And it is a numbered limited edition, just like all Vostok-Europes are. Obviously, this is named after what is clearly the most famous square in all of Russia. Red Square right there in Moscow. I've been there. It's a pretty amazing experience. Actually, one of the interesting things is St. Basil's Cathedral, which is right across from the Savior Tower, is actually smaller than you might think it is based on all the pictures you see. I'm not saying it's a small building by any means, but it looks so looming large in the pictures you see in postcards and so forth. I was actually surprised at how not big it actually is, to say it in a very odd way. This has a 5-link stainless steel bracelet with a deployant clasp like that, the double deployant, so it wears more like a bracelet rather than a watch strap, so to speak. It really looks like a piece of jewelry. There you see the edged case back with the Savior Tower, which has a clock dating back to 1492 in it. This is the 2432 Vostok Movement with the blued parts, and it is the same decorated movement inside there, even though you can't see it through the edged case back. This is a 31-hour power reserve, but again, they are being very conservative there. You're most likely going to get more like 36 to 38 hours out of any one of these when they're fully wound. And remember, just because it's an automatic doesn't mean it's not a good idea to wind it from time to time, especially if it gets all the way wound down. If you leave the watch sitting on your dresser for the whole weekend and you come back and it's completely wound down, just putting it on your wrist and seeing that the second hand starts moving again is not necessarily going to guarantee that the watch is going to keep running. You never know just how much juice you're giving it when you move your wrist. So there really is value in giving it about 15-20 turns when you look at that bracelet. Wow. It really is. And look how the bracelet itself is shaped there on the edge, just like the shape of the case. Anyway, I interrupted myself. You want to give it some turns just to give it some juice to make sure it's not going to lose its power reserve. There it is on Sarah's wrist. As you can see, this is not dominating her wrist like some of the bigger, obviously men's watches that she wears. This is very, very reasonable size for a woman to wear. And also, again, for the guys who aren't into the big watches that are out there today, or maybe you are into them. You've got, I've had a couple of guys buy these, who said, I want something to wear with my tuxedo or something to wear with a nice suit, and I don't want it necessarily to be that big, ostentatious watch that's so popular now. I want something that's just nice and dressy, and this has been one of the more popular options for that. So, and really just the whole bracelet case combination with that dial work, with the blue popping off of there, makes for a really, really striking watch. If you pick this up for your mom or for the mom in your life, they're going to love it as a lady. If you get it for yourself as a guy and you want to wear it with a dress watch, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. 32 ruby jewels on this puppy. It has the day-night indicator, which marches across the front there on the red square, moving from day to night, and gives you a 24-hour basis on there. The date is interestingly positioned between the 4 and 5 o'clock position, a little bit unusual. And again, obviously, even though this says more slightly rectangular than it is square, the idea here is to have all of this watch to speak back to its namesake, which is red square. Just like all of the Vostok-Europe watches, they don't, go out and buy a case here and a dial there or whatever at a trade show and slap it together and call it something. They start with a concept. In this particular one, Igor Zavovsky, the managing director, he goes to Costa Merkin, the designer, and he says, look, I want to honor Red Square. I want to have a watch named Red Square. I want you to design that and come back and show it to me. This is what Costa came up with. They really have a really cool way of approaching this, that they start with the concept, whether it's the N1 rocket or the new Caspian Sea Monster, the Agranoplan, or the Energia, or whatever. They start with the concept and then they build the watch around that concept. And I think that really has created some very interesting and unusual designs that you just don't see anywhere else. This does have superluminova. You'll notice that this set does not have a shot of the superluminova because it actually isn't, that's not the main thing here. This isn't a sport watch, and the superluminova doesn't scream off this watch like it does others. It's good enough for you to see and tell time, in the evening or in the dark, but it's not exactly, like one of the more, obviously more aggressive sport or military watches. So there it is, the mid-size red square on a stainless steel bracelet. I'm Craig Hester, the Watch Comrade, and keep watching.